Good morning, everyone. I'm John Ravitz, the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for the Business Council of Westchester. On behalf of Marcia Gordon, our President and CEO, and James Schutzer, our Chairman of our board, we want to welcome everyone to the KeyBank Speaker Series, our first one in 2023. We are so proud to be partnering with KeyBank, and once again have to say how important KeyBank has been to the business community in Westchester County, the Hudson Valley, and in all of New York State. Their leadership during the pandemic to help their customers was really something to see and to be very, very proud of. And we're so glad today that John Manganiello, who is the president of the Hudson Valley Metro New York Market Northeast Regional Executive Committee for the KeyBank's Real Estate Capital Department, is here with us. John, thank you for all the work that you and your colleagues do at KeyBank, and thank you for once again hosting this important speaker series.
Well, John and Marcia, thank you so much. I always appreciate the opportunity to say a few words on behalf of KeyBank. It's a pleasure to once again welcome you to the KeyBank Speaker Series presented by the Business Council of Westchester. Key's a longtime member and supporter of the BCW and has been a sponsor of this speaker series for many years because supporting our local businesses is key to our business and the economic health and well-being of our community. All of you are out there today. KeyBank's the bank of choice for so many businesses of all sizes in Westchester County, and this speaker series is considered one of the hallmark business programs in our market here. It's important that businesses and local legislators work in tandem. And I appreciate that Marcia and John are committed to connecting to our top elected officials. I so look forward to hearing from Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado. To all the team out there, thank you so much for joining us today, and please enjoy this presentation. And John, back to you, sir.
Thank you very much, John. And again, thank you for the great partnership that the BCW has always had and will continue to have with KeyBank on delivering these type of programs together. We will be joined by Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado in just a few moments. Just a few housekeeping pieces of business. We appreciate all of you who had sent in questions over the last few weeks. And we have a few that we will be posing to the Lieutenant Governor. If you have some additional questions, please put them in the Q&A box. We will try to get to them, but as I said, we want to thank those of you who already submitted questions that we can give to the Lieutenant Governor. Just some updates on some issues on our advocacy front. As you know, the Business Council of Westchester is the county's largest business membership organization that focuses on economic development and advocacy. We will be releasing our 2023 legislative agenda, which covers issues on the county, state, and federal levels in the next 2 weeks. And we appreciate all the work that many of our members gave us to help us with issues that were affecting their industries that we wanted to include in the agenda. And our legislative agenda goes out to every elected official in Westchester County, all statewide elected officials, and it's our playbook for the year. Obviously, other issues come up once the book is in print, but that the agenda really, again, shows our elected officials on all levels of government the important role that business plays in Westchester County and New York State, and the issues and concerns that we want government to address. On March 9th, I hope you'll be able to join us for our energy conference. It will be a virtual event from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The topic is preparing Westchester for the changing energy landscape as we continue to build our renewable infrastructure and comply with the state's CLCPA plan. We are thrilled that Commissioner Basil Sagos, the commissioner for the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, was really going to be the point person for the governor in leading this new energy landscape. Will be our keynote speaker. We will also have speakers from numerous different agencies and programs, and it really will give the business community in Westchester County the opportunity to really have an understanding of what these next few years, critical years, are going to look like as we move into this new renewable energy front. On March 24th, we will have an opportunity for the Westchester business community to meet the new members of the New York State Senate and Assembly who are representing Westchester County. Senator Fernandez in the Senate, We'll be joined by Assembly members Levenberg, Slater, Shimsky, and we will have an opportunity to, again, make sure that our members have the opportunity to learn a little bit more about how these new legislators are beginning their careers in Albany. So that is going to be on March 24th, and that will be at 9 a.m. Again, a virtual event. On May 16th, we will be going back to Albany now that the Capitol reopened last spring, and we brought 55 people to Albany in May. We'll once again be traveling to Albany for a full day of meetings and meeting with stakeholders. It is what I hope, a very enjoyable day, and also a rewarding day for those folks who might not yet have been able to see and tour the Capitol, but also have a chance to meet with members of the governor's administration, members of our Assembly and Senate delegation, as well as other states' leaders. So again, be on the lookout for that on the 16th. We also are planning, and we hope to have the dates announced in the next 2 weeks, a 2-day Washington, D.C. trip, in which we will be spending 2 full days, not only meeting with our members of our Westchester congressional delegation, but again, having meetings with other federal stakeholders and giving folks the opportunity to spend some time in Washington. Those dates will be announced in the next week and a half, and please be on the lookout for that as well. We're also very excited that this week we will be announcing the 7 winners for the Business Council of Westchester's 2023 Hall of Fame. This is one of the signature events in Westchester County, and it's our pleasure to be able to honor 7 businesses each year, all of them different, diverse, all of them real leaders in helping to not only keep Westchester moving forward, but creating jobs, creating revenue, and it's always a very exciting event. We will be sending the links to register for the event in the next week or so. But again, that's going to be on April 25th at Glen Island in Mount Vernon. So there's a lot going on in the Business Council of Westchester's calendar for our members. We hope you will participate on that. We also are very excited that our councils continue to increase their numbers at each of the meetings, led by Linda Tyler, who is our director of membership and programming. These councils really give everyone an opportunity not only to begin to build relationships amongst each other, but be able to discuss and listen to some important topics that will help their sectors. So I hope everyone who is on the call is getting their Monday memo, and those always list the dates for our council meetings. Let me do this. As the Lieutenant Governor is on his way, let me give you an opportunity to learn a little bit about him, and then I'll let him know that we have got everybody up to speed on his bio, and it is really an incredible biography, one that he should feel very proud of. Lieutenant Governor Anthony Delgado is from upstate New York. He is a member of the Upstate New York Basketball Hall of Fame. Mr. Delgado attended Colgate University, where he continued his basketball career. While at Colgate, Mr. Delgado earned a Rhodes Scholarship and would go on to study philosophy and political theory at Oxford University. When he returned home from Oxford, Lieutenant Governor earned a law degree from Harvard Law School. And after law school and prior to serving as Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Delgado had a diverse professional career, from performing as a hip hop artist to practicing complex commercial law to eventually becoming a member of Congress. The Lieutenant Governor was elected to Congress in 2018, and he represented the 19th Congressional District in upstate New York. And he became the first person of color to represent upstate New York in Congress. The Lieutenant Governor was frequently recognized as one of the most active and bipartisan representatives in Congress. And during his time in Washington, 18 of his bills were signed into law, 10 under President Trump and 8 under President Biden. Mr. Delgado was appointed in May of 2022 to serve as Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul's Lieutenant Governor, and was elected a full term this last November in 2022. Mr. Delgado has been given a lot of responsibilities by Governor Hochul, and we look forward to hearing from him on what Lieutenant Governor introduced in her State of the State, what's coming up yet on the budget, And we want to give him the opportunity to lay that all out before we ask him some questions. We are going to do this for everyone. If everyone wants to take a quick stretch, get some more coffee. The Lieutenant Governor is on his way. I think he is stuck in just a little traffic, but we should be back momentarily. So please hang in there with us. And as I said, the Lieutenant Governor will be joining us momentarily. Folks, while we're waiting for the Lieutenant Governor, let me give you the opportunity to get some more info about some of the activities of the Business Council of Westchester. I hope all of you go to our website on a regular basis, www.thebcw.org. It's an opportunity for you to see some of the work that we're doing on behalf of our members and the Westchester business community. It's an opportunity to see the upcoming events that we have. We also have a function on the website called Member News. And that's an opportunity for our members to really give and talk about and put out their information that's happening within your business. And it's been a very valuable tool for our members. We've heard some positive feedback. If you are having need information on how to put that member news content on our website, please reach out to Linda Tyler, our Director of Membership and Senior Director of Membership and Programs, and she will assist you on that. But again, we've had some great feedback and gives you an opportunity to really highlight some of the work that's going on within your business as well. We also want to remind people that we were one of the leading organizations dealing with sustainability and helping businesses lower their costs, as well as engaging their employees in becoming more sustainable. And for many years, Danny Glazer led our Green Business Partnership Program, in which we had businesses become certified in sustainability. We are now partnering with the Green Business Bureau, which is a national organization that is doing the same important work that Danny was doing as well, which is really giving the business community tools on how they can become certified and become more sustainable, which will lower their cost, which will be a great retention tool for their employees. So on our website, you'll continue to see our Green Business Bureau icon. Please click onto that. Someone from their team will immediately respond to you, and you can begin that process as well. So again, our website is www.thebcw.org, and we look forward to really continuing to help businesses become more sustainable as we move into this energy landscape. I'm told that the governor is going to be joining us momentarily. That will give him a chance to get settled. We appreciate everyone hanging in there with us on a Monday morning, and we will hopefully have the Lieutenant Governor on in just a moment.
I'm on.
There you are, Lieutenant Governor. How are you? John Ravitz of the Business Council of Westchester.
How you doing, John?
Good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. While we were waiting, we read your really incredible bio for our members, and it is a great body of work that you've already accomplished, both in Congress and now in Albany, as well as on the basketball court and in music. So we are lucky to have you. We look forward to hearing from you. And I'm really going to turn this program over to you for the next few minutes to just outline the work that you and Governor Hochul are doing on behalf of the business community and the people of New York State.
Well, John, thank you very much. Happy to be with the Business Council of Westchester. Excited to, spend some time with you, paint a picture here of where the administration is going, and then answer questions. Certainly want to acknowledge Dr. Marshall Gordon, the President and CEO of the Council, as well as the co-chair of the Mid-Hudson REDC, Tom Scaglione, Regional Director of the Mid-Hudson REDC, and all of those who are on the Zoom this snowy Monday morning. It is good to be with all of you. Look forward to engaging with all of you in the coming days and months and years. Before I give a sort of overview of the vision here that the governor has put forth, and particularly as it pertains to our economy, I want to just share a little bit about myself, which I think anchors a lot of my priorities as we move forward here. I know you guys may have got a little bit of the bio, which hopefully gave you a good sense. But the one thing I just want to highlight for all of you is I grew up in Schenectady. I grew up in a working class family. I grew up with two parents who had very reliable jobs, and those jobs were at General Electric. Those are the kind of jobs in upstate New York, like the IBMs, that allowed families like mine to work themselves up from working class to middle class. And I certainly watched that over the course of my childhood, moving from apartment to apartment, safer neighborhood to safer neighborhood, until we bought our first brand new home my freshman year in high school. And my dad walked me out on that plot of land and said, this is what hard work in this country can get you. So I have that embedded in how I think about supporting working families, what it takes to make sure that upward mobility is indeed obtainable, and understand the value of that, not just from the standpoint of good paying jobs and wages, but the stability that it can give inside the home. That stability is what allowed my parents to routinely come home from work and make sure that I was doing my homework, make sure that I was invested in my education. That type of order creates the level of stability that one needs to plan and to create for a future that one desires. If you do not have that type of stability, it is very hard to generate upward mobility. And so this is what I bring to bear when I think about what I deeply care about and what I pull from in terms of my own personal experiences. The importance of jobs cuts very, very deep in terms of the multiplier effect that it can have inside the home and inside the communities where those jobs actually are. So let's talk about economic development. I think it's been difficult for a few years, not just for our state, but our nation and certainly the world. We saw job loss and we saw small businesses and industries hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. Again, as a member of Congress in upstate New York, I saw that impact firsthand. I was on the small business committee. I was on the agriculture committee. So I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to work and salvage our small family-owned farms and all of those small businesses that line our main streets, particularly in our rural communities. Now, this administration is very, very focused on ensuring our state has a very strong economic recovery and future. Our economic innovation plan will grow jobs and businesses across New York State. We're going to make targeted investments to develop high growth industries like high technology, life sciences, and advanced manufacturing. Governor Hochul will also direct the Empire State Development to improve and expand existing attraction programming to help incentivize new innovation investments and continue growing jobs and improve our business future. For example, the Excelsior Jobs Program provides job creation, investment, and research and development incentives to firms in targeted industries under a pay-for-performance structure. In recent years, the program has been expanded to create a child tax credit, a green economy tax credit, and the green chips credit, which led to one of the largest manufacturing investments in US history. Now, Governor Hochul will make improvements to the program to support additional critical priorities for the state, such as assisting disadvantaged communities and populations, as well as advancing the green economy. New York has already been a leader in this space. Between 2010 and 2021, 113,000 high-wage jobs were created in the tech sector. 113 high-wage jobs, encompassing everything from scientific research to software development. And New York businesses raised $53 billion in venture capital in 2021. This plan also includes measures to strengthen the state's supply chain and drive growth. Governor Hochul will establish a new state innovation to proactively secure supply chains for critical commodities and products by attracting and supporting those industries that provide essential supplies to manufacturers in New York. With this strategy, we're going to bring more world-class companies to New York State, spurring job growth and ensuring our state's economic future is strong. Affordable housing, another important component when it comes to community development, economic development, and again, upward mobility. Going back to my own personal story, being able to have a home that you can sustain yourself in and you can afford anchors you in that community, allows you to take chances with your own career and build and grow. So that's something that we know firsthand is critically important. We have a once in a generation crisis on our hands when it comes to affordable housing or the lack thereof. There's no doubt about it. This has been an issue that's been plaguing us for some time, and it has reached its apex. Last year's budget included a 5-year, $25 billion plan to create and preserve 100,000 affordable homes, the single largest housing investment in New York State history. Now we're going even further. The governor will pursue, as laid out in her State of the State, housing crisis with a commitment to build 800,000 new homes. The New York Housing Compact strategy will set local housing targets and includes local participation to achieve housing growth in every community. It will also remove obstacles to affordable housing approvals, grow development opportunities in New York City, and incentivize construction. We're calling upon all levels of government to meet this ongoing crisis. Cities, towns, villages, all of them will need to achieve new home creation targets on a 3-year cycle. In areas where the housing need is highest, like New York City, we'll have a 3% new homes target over 3 years. Upstate counties will have a 1% new homes target over 3 years. From repurposing underutilized office space to offering new incentives towards multifamily buildings, we're committed to increasing the housing supply and making our state more affordable for all. We're also making available $250 million in infrastructure fund and $20 million planning fund to support new housing production across the state. What that fundamentally means is we're going to invest in our communities and assist them in our localities to make sure they know the best way and have the support that they need to be able to meet these targets. So we're not just saying, go ahead and do this without real meaningful support and assistance. We want to work in a cooperative and coordinated fashion and provide the resources that we know are critically important to get this job done. The environment, another critical component to our overall economic strategy and vision. Protecting our environment and ensuring that our future generations have a safe plan to live up is a very big, important issue for me. I'm sure it's for the governor as well. I have 2 little boys, 9-year-old twins. I think about the future they're going to inherit and certainly do not like at all the trends that we're seeing with extreme weather, the flooding, the droughts. It gets to a point where we're beyond that point, where we know the threat is existential. And it's incumbent upon us to do all we can to take steps as a state to play our part in our role. So that work begins now. It's been beginning, but we have to really double down moving forward. The governor announced a Cap and Invest program that will work to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and combat climate change. This initiative will tackle a number of issues that we are facing. It'll establish a declining cap on greenhouse gas emissions. It'll invest in programs that drive emissions reductions in an equitable manner, prioritizing disadvantaged communities. It limits costs to economically vulnerable households and maintains the competitiveness of New York industries. Additionally, Governor Hochul will propose legislation to create a universal climate action rebate that is expected to drive more than $1 billion in future capital invest proceeds to New Yorkers every year. So that, I hope, gives you a good sense of the overall vision. I think it's an ambitious, transformative agenda that we intend to really implement with an eye towards keeping our state moving in the right direction. It always gives me hope that people like all of you are aware and paying attention and engaged and equally committed and energized and driven to help us create a more equitable, forward-thinking state. I look forward to our continued partnership, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor, for that report. And again, that's why it's so important that we want to thank once again KeyBank for sponsoring this important series so that we can bring leaders like the Lieutenant Governor to you. So once again, KeyBank, thank you for all the work that you do for the business community in Westchester and around New York State. Governor, let's shift. Let's talk a little bit about the governor's housing compact plan. At the Business Council of Westchester, we are really proud of the fact that for the last few years, we have led a group of 17 developers who really have made a commitment to not only Westchester County, but to New York State to continue to build housing, which brings in revenue, creates jobs, and gives people a place to live in our county. And of course, they were very excited about many aspects of the housing compact. And we're fortunate to be led by folks like Mark Weingarten, who has already worked with us to give some suggestions to the administration on how to make this plan move forward in a timely fashion. Obviously, one of the biggest hurdles is going to be dealing with local governments and beginning to get them to understand that this is not going to be Albany coming in and just stomping over their heads. Talk to us a little bit about the strategy that you and the administration are going to really move forward on local governments to lower that anxiety so that we can move forward with this important plan.
I am very sympathetic to that point of view and that question in terms of some of the anxieties that our local governments might feel. When I was in Congress, during COVID, a big issue was how do we get direct funding to our counties and to our towns and our villages. And a lot of the things that I heard on the ground from our town supervisors and localities, even the county level was, we don't want it to go through the state. We don't want it to go through Albany. We want really to be able to decide and dictate for our own selves. And I get that and I appreciate that. And I think it's important that, what we do ultimately is support the effort. A lot of times what I hear from folks on the ground that I have heard historically is things get said, or there are mandates, or there are targets, or there are goals, and then it's go figure it out on your own. And if you don't figure it out on your own, there's going to be some kind of penalty or issue. It's important for us to be able to partner with our local governments, with our local officials. That's why that infrastructure fund that I talked about is so important. That's why that planning investment fund that I talked about is so important. It's making sure that we have the resources and that we make those accessible to our local leaders in a collaborative and cooperative way. So it doesn't feel like this is about Big Brother looking over your shoulder and saying, make sure you do it X, Y, and Z way. Because every locality is going to be different. It's going to have different dynamics on the ground. And we need to empower the folks with situational awareness on the ground to best move forward in a way that's going to maximize the value proposition here. So this is not about a overtly top-down approach. It's a bottom-up approach where we're making the funding for this effort accessible, and we're going to work in tandem in a cooperative fashion to make sure that we achieve these targets in a very holistic and comprehensive fashion.
Last Wednesday, Marcia Gordon and I attended a roundtable discussion that the Commissioner Wisniewski, who is the Commissioner of New York State Housing, led. And one of the things she said, which I think was important and is going to be important for local communities to hear, is that obviously there's going to be some flexibility, as you just mentioned, but also if local communities are showing a good faith effort. And she reiterated that at least 2 or 3 times, that the state certainly will take that into account. Can you expand on that as well? And again, as you said, you came up from the local level, so you know some of the challenges that communities sometimes put in the way of getting things done. And again, how we chip away at that, but making sure they understand that there is going to be that flexibility.
Like again, I speak from my own personal experience the Direct Support for Communities Act, which was ultimately included in the American Rescue Plan, that formula was a formula that I created along with Schumer, to make sure that all of our localities across the state and across the country got some form of direct funding, and there was flexibility associated with that. And to your point, enough broadness in how it could be applied, so that people could feel comfortable. But you hit the nail on the head too in terms of good faith, right? Because ultimately what we're trying to do here is make sure that people understand this is a priority. And that as we marshal together our resources, as we marshal together our brain power, right, and our collective skill set, we all, at every level of government, have to be willing to buy into that process. Now, how we go about that process, there will be flexibility, and there will be an attempt to make sure that we're trying to account for the different vagrancies or variations on the ground. But what we are saying, though, at the top end of this process is we need everybody to buy in good faith. We need everybody to at least roll up their sleeves and try to get this done, recognizing how important this issue actually is, recognizing that we do have a crisis across the state, and recognizing that we need all hands on deck.
Well, two things you just said that I want to bring into another topic for the second question. And this question came up for people who sent in questions over the last week or so. At the Business Council of Westchester, we've been laser focused on the changing energy landscape. Obviously, Westchester County was at the epicenter. Indian Point closing, Con Edison imposed the gas moratorium in the southern part of the county. And we are all in on terms of renewable energy is our future. What's concerned us and what we've continued to raise with the state and will continue in good faith is that we are so far behind in building that renewable energy infrastructure that the dates that the CLCPA put out last month are dates that I really think we have to look at and also look at what transitions will be to get us to where we ultimately want to be with the CLCPA plan. And you said two things, rolling up our sleeves and buying in. How is the administration going to really focus on helping us very quickly build that renewable infrastructure when we can't get solar farm applications approved through town boards, or we get people who are going to oppose solar or wind farms in other parts of the state?
Yeah, listen, I hear you, and I think that there's no question that if we don't make robust, intense investment in our renewable energy capacity, which is the key piece to all this, then those goals are going to be incredibly difficult to hit. And on a practical level, as we transition off of certain sources of energy, that we will run into some difficult challenges as far as the reality of how we source energy as a state, right? And so we can theorize and we can hope for a lot of different things, but then you end up hitting the practical realities of what is the case and what is not the case. And so I think there is a real understanding that we have to be more robust in our investment in this area, make sure that we're more targeted, and to the same degree with housing, as we've done with this compact plan, think more strategically, right, about how to engage communities across the state in a very comprehensive and thoughtful fashion, in a way that can spur the kind of investment and the kind of commitment that we hope to spur when it comes to housing. So I do think that there's a way in which some of the things that we're talking about now in the housing space at some point, could be critically important for the climate space as well. So this is an area that I think for sure, to your point, there's an urgency to it that requires our full attention. And I hear you in terms of the practical realities of how we make sure we have the build outs and get the local buy-in that we need across the state.
Well, and again, we will continue to raise those questions. We'll continue to urge folks to, again, have honest conversations in the legislature about the dates that they approved, because we want to get this right. And we don't want to see what's happened in other states and in other countries where they have tried to do too much too quickly without having some flexibility and some alternative plans to get to where they inevitably want to be. And that's why I hope your staff will join us on March 9th. We're having our virtual energy conference. Commissioner Sagos will be doing our keynote address, and we know that he's going to be one of the key people in your administration. So we look forward to that. Just a few more questions, Lieutenant Governor, before we let you go. And you mentioned in Congress, you served on the Small Business Committee as well. One of our top priorities has been working with other business organizations around the state is to get Albany to focus on the unemployment insurance fund. That fund is bankrupt. We were urging Albany to put some of the money that came from Washington into that fund that other states had done as well. But now the burden is really being put on the backs of small businesses. They're already seeing those unemployment insurance fees every month. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of the strategies you and the administration will be looking at to try to deal with the unemployment insurance issue?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I think that's an issue that I'm gonna have to circle back to you on. I think, I know that's an issue. I know it's an important one, but I would be remiss to jump in and speak to any specifics without really having a more robust conversation with the governor on that issue. I certainly understand, the dynamics. Like you said, I've been on the Small Business Committee during my 2 terms in Congress. I was on the front lines, I should say, in Congress when we were trying to, provide a lot of money to deal with unemployment insurance and the issues that were happening in the state of New York at that time. My office was getting a lot of phone calls about that dynamic. And so I'm very familiar with the challenges that have been faced from a processing standpoint, from a sourcing standpoint, from a funding standpoint, and certainly want to do what we can to support our small businesses. In Congress, I had 27,000 small businesses, including self-employed, in my district. So I understand the challenges that they face. I've done a lot of work to make sure they're supported throughout COVID and beyond. And definitely, we'll take this back and can circle back to you on this particular issue with more detail. I don't want to just talking vagaries about it. I want to make sure I give you some specifics in terms
and we appreciate that. Thank you very much. And we'll continue to do all we can to help support the administration in dealing with this issue. Let's talk about one of the biggest things on your portfolio that the governor has given you, and that's leading the REDC. And that I know has given you an opportunity to travel all over the state, meeting with the different regional councils. We're so proud of the work that Dr. Marsha Gordon, our president and CEO, does on that as co-chair of the Mid-Hudson Regional Council. Tell us some of the priorities that you're looking at throughout the state when you're meeting and sitting down with each of the councils that you want them to focus on.
I appreciate that. It's definitely exciting for me to be in this role. It gives me a very direct way to engage with folks who are making critical decisions that are informed by the communities within those different councils and within those regions. I know that this program has been incredibly successful over the last 12 rounds. And the Mid-Hudson REDC has been done a lot of great work and able to recommend, I believe, more than 816 million in state economic development dollars into the region. And it's been leveraging more than 4 billion in private financing, which has helped create and retain more than 24,000 jobs in the region. So that's just for the Mid-Hudson REDC. The statewide focus will continue to invest in priorities of placemaking, workforce, innovation, and tradable sectors, while the Mid-Hudson REDC will also continue to focus on their regional strategy of live, work, and play. There will also be a continued focus on growing sectors like the life sciences, advanced manufacturing, and information. And I would just say this too, I think for me, what I really want to be able to understand too, is making sure that as we make these decisions, as the councils make these investment decisions, that the communities in these regions are able to truly access these funds in an equitable way. And so that we're not creating a bottleneck where only certain kinds of folks are capable or certain industries or certain sectors with a certain kind of capacity, have, or personnel, right, have the ability. How do we create a space where everybody has a chance to sort of put forth, their application and do so in a way that ultimately can have a direct impact on their community. So it's also going to be a focus moving forward.
And one of the offshoots, if you will, of the REDC was the downtown reinvestment revitalization investment, the DRIs. How is that going? What are you going to be asking the councils to be looking at when they're focusing on the DRI program this year?
Well, the DRI communities that have completed their projects have seen great success with this program, including Middletown, Kingston, New Rochelle, Peekskill. And, we're excited to see what's to come with more and more projects on the horizon. Very excited about continuing this program, with the governor. We know we want to expand on this. I've seen the impact of these types of investments firsthand. And we see particularly what it can do for our rural communities that are able to take part in the success with the New York Forward program, which is specifically geared towards smaller rural communities. So certainly have every intention of growing this program. We see what it can do when you have the downtown being revitalized. It's pretty obvious what that can do. It can attract capital. It could attract investment. With that investment in capital, you can create jobs. With those jobs, you put money in people's pockets. With that money in people's pockets, you create economic activity within the region, and it multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. And that is exactly what we're trying to do. So whether it's in the housing space or whether it's focusing on downtowns, making sure that we can anchor economic growth, that is ultimately what we're trying to accomplish with these types of investments.
Well, and one of the programs that we started last year at the Business Council of Westchester was our Westchester Innovation Network program, which really helped bring innovators from all over the country and globally to Westchester County, matching them with a Westchester business, which hopefully stimulates jobs. Another program that we started just a few months ago, and it leads to my next question, was our talent program. And obviously that has been the biggest challenge, is finding talent in all different sectors. And obviously workforce is a part of that too. And you've mentioned the priority that you and the governor have on workforce development. As we're looking to lower that gap that we seem to have with acquiring and obtaining talent for businesses of all different sizes, what's the future of workforce development in New York State, and what are you going to be focusing on?
I think you're absolutely right. We can do all we can. It goes back to the climate piece, right? There's an analogy there in that we can have a goal and we can say we want to, build out and hit these climate goals. But if we don't have the infrastructure or the capacity to do it while we're, removing ourselves from other energy sources, we're going to hit a wall at some point. Well, we can, in the same fashion, try to grow jobs and create jobs and get people to work. But if we're not building out a workforce to take on those jobs, and the workforce that has the skill set and the education that they will need for those jobs, then we end up with a cliff that's not helping anybody at all, right? And I think we are bumping up against that reality as we continue to, I think, make real investments. And it shouldn't be that way. We have so many amazing educational institutions. We have so many amazing labor outfits that can do apprenticeship programs and BOCES. We have so many spaces in which we are able to build out the capacity if we are more targeted and more intentional in our approach, which is why the governor launched the Office of Strategic Workforce Development that is led by ESD and in partnership with several agencies across New York State to specifically address workforce challenges faced by employers. So this office is really going to take some critical steps in coordinating a strategic effort in this vein. More than $150 million in funding is being awarded through this office to deal with systemic issues and barriers to employment within several defined tradable sectors, including advanced manufacturing, life sciences, distribution, financial and professional services, among others. So again, creating an office with funding, with a strategic purpose to invest in those areas that we know we want growth, and we know we will need growth to fill the jobs that are being created.
Well, and again, where the Business Council of Westchester could be helpful to you and the governor, please reach out to us because, as I said, we really have leaned in on the innovation and also the talent issues over the last year, and we'll continue to do so. You mentioned higher education, and we in Westchester County are so proud of all of the different higher education institutions that we have. At the Business Council of Westchester, we're lucky that so many presidents of our colleges sit on our board, and we think it's important that they have a seat at the table because of the important work that their institutions do. I know we have a new SUNY chancellor in John King. We've worked with him in the past when he was the Commissioner of Education. Tell us a little bit about the work that you'll all be doing with Commissioner King, Chancellor King, as he moves into this new role.
Yeah, very excited to work with the chancellor, talk to him. I know he's very excited about the new role. And the governor, I could tell you, laid out a very bold vision to transform SUNY, and she looks forward to working with the chancellor to make SUNY the best public university system in the nation. Full stop. That is the goal. And I know that Governor Hochul, alongside Chancellor King, will take additional action to expand enrollment and access to SUNY schools across the state. That's very, very important. To build the strength of the 4 university centers, including the 2 flagship institutions. So really, it's an exciting chapter that's about to begin, one that is dedicated, again, to a bold and transformative vision and to make sure that SUNY is indeed the best public university system in the country.
Well, we look forward to seeing the work that Chancellor King does. Governor, we have time for one last question, and this is more of a personal one. When we read your bio, we saw the success that you had immediately in Congress. The fact that you could work across the aisle, the fact that you got bills signed into law with a president of another party, as well as then a president of your own party. So you were doing the work that we expect people to do when they go into Congress. But then you were given the opportunity to do something else when the lieutenant governor asked you to join her when the governor asked you to join her as your lieutenant governor. What kind of decision was that? I mean, what did you really have to go through to finally decide, you know what, I'm going to now take a different tack and still serve the people of New York State?
Well, first it's important to understand that this was not something that I was, plotting or chasing. I was in my second term, like you said, trying to be as effective as I could be across the aisle. One of the more bipartisan members of Congress, top 2 or 3 in the entire body. 10 bills under Trump, 8 bills under Biden. So definitely doing my part to get things done. A lot of factors fed into my decision. Once I was given the opportunity, which again came out of literally nowhere, I had to step back and think a lot, both in terms of my family and my little boys and my wife, and traveling back and forth to DC and trying to figure out, if that's something that I want to continue to do. But then beyond the personal piece, the opportunity to try to take that model of work that I was doing in a very big district, no doubt, 11 counties, across the state, and try to bring that brand of politics across the state and to engage with communities that, are diverse and just amazing in so many different ways, from downstate to North Country to out West and everything in between. That to me was incredibly compelling at a time where I feel like more and more our states are going to have to really hold the line and be examples. And I think New York has a critical role to play for the country at this moment. And so all these factors kind of came together in one instance, and taken together, it felt like a very obvious decision for me to make sure that I could continue to lead, in the state that raised me, that I got educated in, and that is my home through and through, and my wife's home through and through. And figure out how to lead in these very challenging, difficult, divisive times with a brand of politics, with an approach to public service that I have proven to myself can work in Congress. And I'm hoping to make sure that that can be demonstrated at this level as well here in New York.
Well, we look forward to seeing the work that you do. One last, this is probably going to be the toughest question I ask you. Is Colgate going to make it to the big dance in the NCAA basketball tournament this year?
You better believe it.
They are having they have turned their season around and are having a good season. Lieutenant Governor Delgado, thank you for joining us today. We hope that we'll see you in Albany when the BCW comes to our annual Albany Day on May 16th. And again, I hope you'll use our organization as a partner and a resource. We have so many important sectors that are members of the BCW that can play a really helpful and positive role in helping you and your administration move New York State forward. So thank you for joining us. We again want to thank our friends at KeyBank, led by John Manginelli and his team, for once again sponsoring this important leadership series. And for all of you who listen today, please let your colleagues know that we have recorded this presentation with the Lieutenant Governor, and it will be on our website tomorrow for those of you who might have missed it or want to return to it and share it with other people. So I hope everyone has a safe drive out there. I know the weather upstate and the Mid-Hudson is getting a little dicey, so please drive carefully. And again, always feel free to call the Business Council of Westchester if we can be of assistance to you. Lieutenant Governor, thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. All the best to you.